All right. What's up, guys? So today we have April Elias. I know her from Subto and Owners Club. And fun fact, she is one of the only people I know or have heard of to do a Subto deal outside of the United States, right? It was in Portugal.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. And then I think I heard that was with their US citizen, right? And that's how you're able to still do it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, you could do it with a Portuguese citizen too. It just happened to be a US citizen, so it made it a
Okay.
little bit easier.
Yeah, is the main thing what were who owned the debt? Was it a bank in Portugal or a US bank or
It was a bank in Portugal, and it was the seller, both, because it's a blend of subject to and seller finance.
wow. So how do you even find a deal like that?
It was just opportunistic. My brother lives there, and so just in his conversations, because we have a restaurant there in one of the little villages, which is has a lot of tourism, and he just met another American, and she mentioned how she had new construction and she was overwhelmed and just wanted to go home. So it's nearly finished. There's about 200,000 left to do, but she wanted to try to recoup as much as she has spent and just leave because she was overwhelmed. And so my brother said, "Well, hey, how much are you asking?" And she was asking for 500,000 euro. Now, she had put nearly a million euro in it between her own personal money, and then 300,000 of it was financed by a Portuguese bank. And so, because there's construction that needs to be, completed, she was just over it. And so, ran the numbers, and we took the Subto language, gave it to our attorney, and said, "Yeah, this is possible in Portugal. Maybe just not, we don't say it exactly this way, or we don't arrange it this way, but it's possible." So the concept and of the structure of the deal remained the same, but just in the Portuguese version. And we were able to execute that. And so that's where we're at with it. And we're actually thinking of maybe selling it. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Would you sell it creative or just sell it traditional to get out of it once you're done?
I think we would probably look at wholesaling it on some level. And the reason that I say that is because we have 3 lots of land that we're developing, and we just got sign off on our drawings to build. And so that's going to take a lot of focus and attention. And then
Yeah.
there's a ton of opportunity. There's a ton of spread there. So the next person that comes in could make well into the six figures, even on a wholesale deal, if they spent the additional capital to finish it. And we have all of the permits, all of everything's in line. It's just a matter of deploying another 200,000 to complete it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. So what would you say outside of that is your main focus? Like you're doing stuff, you're in the US right now, right? Like New England? Is that where
Delaware.
the current project that you're at now is Delaware? Like I see the
Yeah.
cinder blocks and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the current project that I'm at now, this is the one where Pace is my partner. And so the current project that I'm at now is in Elkton, Maryland. And it's just 30 minutes from my house in Delaware. So this again was opportunistic. It's a waterfront property or waterfront community where we have water views, private deeded water access for boats, beach, pond, and it's on 3 acres. And he was here a couple weeks ago visiting it, and we're very
Yeah.
close to listing it. Again, this wasn't something I was like, "Hey, let me pull a list for,
Mhm.
unique log cabins that are upscale log cabins, and let's try to rehab that." And so, again, it was just through networking. And so we took it on because this is projected to be a triple digit flip also.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Man,
exciting.
yeah, you're up to a lot.
Yeah, there's
So,
a lot going on.
yeah. So in Owners Club, we have like the 5 year goal, or calling it Mount Everest. What would you, and I know for a lot of people it does evolve the more they're learning and growing. At the current moment, how would you describe what your Mount Everest is, your 5, 7 year goal?
Mine is still evolving, and there's a part that involves community, meaning helping support a need in the community. And Pace actually came up with the idea based on our one-on-one in a conversation. So part of that has to do with my capabilities around talent acquisition. So I've been in this space for over 20 years. The first 16 years were agency. The last probably 7 or 8 years have been in a management consulting type of capacity. And so I'm an executive search headhunter. And then I lead teams, I recruit in 5 countries. And then I also I've been implementing AI in our teams and workflows even before ChatGPT was like in everyone's awareness, which is amazing. And so as we were having that conversation around that, he's like, "Oh, well, we have a problem and just in the community more broadly of aligning people with opportunity." And it's a unique problem because people come into the community from all different types of backgrounds. They could be, an HVAC person, or they could be a doctor, a lawyer, NFL player, all types of things. So we were focused on saying, "Hey, let's figure out why people join. What is it about them that got them interested in real estate, and what's their story and what's their capabilities?" Because it's beyond just looking at their skills or their resume, because they may be awesome in their W-2, but it might be like sucking the soul out of them. So we want to make sure that we align them with things that are good for their gifts and talents. And then just it puts them in a situation to thrive and learn a little bit more easily. Because sometimes, because there's so much information and there's so many avenues and there's so much opportunity, it's a bit of a lumpy experience. And we're trying to smooth that out a little bit. So that's one piece of it. And I know we're supposed to like try to focus on one, but the other one is more around the affordable housing. So when Pace mentioned, "Hey, let's work together as a community to solve that," I thought to myself, like, well, I don't know that what I'm doing at the moment, fixing and flipping, is exactly solving that. But what resources do I have available to me immediately that could perhaps answer that? And so that's when I thought of my brother, and he's the CFO for Foldom, which is, they're the tiny homes that just fold up and you can put them together and they're quickly deployed and they exceed all of these building regulations, meaning they're built in California. So they already exceed these high expectations and regulations, so they automatically pass everything through throughout the rest of the United States. And they started out doing a lot of B2G, meaning like business to government and business to business. And now they've pivoted and they've changed the exterior to have a bit more curb appeal and look less like a container and more like a cute tiny home, but they can still be just deployed just as quickly, fire resistant for up to an hour, hold heavy loads of snow, steel construction, mold resistant. They can be on or off grid, and we can have 12 set up in a week. So we're running two different models, like an A/B test, saying like the A test is, let's say you set it up like a mobile home park type of model to where somebody would own the actual unit and then they lease the land. And then there's another, the B test is the fully leased, because a lot of these governments, and specifically like FEMA and stuff like that, they prefer to lease, and there just wasn't a leasing program in place. So we're entertaining that, and the numbers work out really nicely. So the modeling was done on 12.50 an hour as a minimum wage, and so if somebody invested in something like Foldom to say, "Hey, we have maybe a strategic partnership with somebody who owns land, and then we bring the Foldoms," or somebody invests in us deploying the Foldoms, then the financial models for renting them or for leasing them work really well to accommodate a $12.50 per hour minimum wage, making it still affordable. And then there's still a huge upside for the investor. So, it checks a lot of boxes and it could be pretty cool. But we're working through that, have a little brainstorming chat going on, and everybody's doing their different part with, grants and landowners and figuring out insurance and zoning. So I'd say that's probably the bigger one and more impactful one, but it's still a work in progress, but we're making progress.
Yeah, you mentioned California. Is
Yeah.
are you staying there? Do you have a variety of states that you're interested in doing that in?
Well, depending on where the land partnerships come from, it could be anywhere in the US. So I'm focused on the Northeast specifically because I like to drive there, be there if possible, because it just helps me learn and it helps me, I feel like, expand a little bit more quickly. But we can do this with anyone who's local, boots on the ground, because there's a lot of value in that too. And that's what we're doing. So we have some significant traction in Michigan and then here in Delaware. And there's someone that has land in Mississippi that we're talking to. So there's a bunch of different
Hmm.
areas where we could possibly deploy these.
I was curious because I know there's another man in Owners Club that is he's a developer, and he's like, I'm located in Florida. He's not, but I'm gonna help him, gradually move into Florida. So we're gonna be looking for land. And so maybe another conversation I could better understand what your land needs to look like, because I'm gonna be hunting for it anyway. So if it
Nice.
doesn't meet what we need, I might, it doesn't hurt to know what it needs to look like at least.
Yeah. And so as far as site prep, what's unique about these is of course it's ideal to have like a concrete slab poured, but then it's not required. They can straight away go on the ground in an emergency. It's just they'll last longer likely if they have a concrete slab. And because it's on and off grid solutions, it just depends on the reasoning for the deployment. So is it disaster relief? Is it to, partner with government to provide affordable housing? Or is it our own providing affordable housing, community design that are really just, they're cute and they're functional and they check a lot of boxes for communities. And so I think it just, you know, depending on the land and the location, there could be a variety of options that would make sense.
Okay. And then I guess with let's see, a couple things are coming to mind, but I guess it definitely sounds easier than normal development. Are you finding like, at least in California where you're doing it, that the government is moving to be more helpful with that type of stuff, or they're moving against it or neutral? What have you found?
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that question? It cut out a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed the service is messing up a little bit. Um,
Sorry.
so in California, are you noticing that the state government is conducive for what you want to do, or they're moving in opposite direction or neutral?
No, I would say it's conducive for sure. And in California, in some circumstances, you can even get a mortgage on them because they're considered an ADU. So there's a
Oh, cool.
possibility for that and home ownership. So there could be a path to home ownership, and that could include a piece of land because they've made some significant progress with making that happen. And in some circumstances, you can even use a NACA program, which is more favorable rates and I guess lower barrier to entry to actually get a mortgage.
Okay, cool.
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, I guess if people want to join in on this with you, what are the main ways they can like add value to you or collaborate? Like, is it bringing capital or is it bringing deals, a blend, or something else?
Yeah, I think for sure it would be, bringing capital because that or any strategic partnership opportunities with landowners. And then as far as everything else, we just work it out state by state. Anyone who's great at grant writing, we have some grant writers in our brainstorming session for this, but any nuance that helps navigate, government to help solve affordable housing from that perspective, that's great. Or just, independent investors just going out on their own and setting up any type of community. The one thing that we don't have, I would say, is probably like the developer type of, domain
Mhm.
knowledge, like more around like development in particular areas and what this necessarily means. One of the upsides for a landowner is if they decide to get into a partnership with us and they find out, after 3, 5 years, whatever the case may be, hey, this isn't working. Everyone's always trying to think like, how can I clean up my land after this? It's not something that you have to like knock down or demo. It's just a matter of some concrete slabs that would need to be broken up because they can quickly be collapsed again and then moved out. So the cleanup after that is it's very it's a low effort in relation to, maybe tearing something down, but that's the way that they were designed to be answer disaster relief or temporary shelter for construction workers. Like I said, we just the designs have been changed to make it more appealing for residential use.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then let's say someone does have something they can bring to you, whether it is capital or deals. What is the best, easiest way to get a hold of you?
You can reach out to me. I'm at April Elias. So my first and last name on all the socials. And I would say Instagram is a great way to reach out to me because I do check my Instagrams or just my email. It's april@aprilelias.com. Super simple.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. You hear that? If any of that interests you, definitely reach out to her.